Hello, this will be a continuation, unplanned series of videos, but looking at the harmonic numbers. So I'll put two earlier videos, I'll put the link in the description, but with a focus on the quadrivium. So what we have is arithmetic, geometry, music, and astronomy. The quadrivium is, well, the four, then we had the trivium, the three together, 4 plus 3 is 7, the 7 liberal arts. So we'd have but these are the ones I like to focus on because such as rhetoric, logic and grammar, they're all part of the 7 liberal arts, but a little bit different because especially arithmetic, geometry, music and astronomy, so much connected to weights and measures, importantly ancients, which is a very important theme. So link in the description to the most recent upload, so that's where I went into 108, 216, 432, 864, etc., and how these connect to the quadrivium. But now we'll have a look at this column, beginning with 9 or 3 squared. And so 9 now, Harshad numbers are 9. So for instance, 1 times 9 is 9, 2 times 9 is 18, 1 plus 8 is 9, 3 times 9 is 27, 2 plus 7 is 9. Recreational number theory, but any multiplication of 9 will give you the digital root. Will come back to 9. So for instance, 11 times 99, 9 plus 9 is 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9. This is sort of what makes this particular number, as we use base 10, 9 so important. It's also 3 squared. But also, historically, say we had the 9 gods in the Egyptian Ennead, 9 muses. Odin was on the tree for 9 days. But because it's such a small number, and by that I mean it's like, basically below 20, you'll find so many references to it that it could be, well, easily dismissed. But if you look at this harmonic series, so 9, and then so the next would be 18, 9 times 2. And then we start to, well, we'll see this pattern follow through, but what we have is, well, first astronomy, and so we have the moon measures, and one by the ionic scale, and one by the long foot, also sometimes called the Persian foot. One long foot is 1.056 of modern feet. But also geometry. So for instance, any triangle is 180 degrees. That's an equilateral. Doesn't matter what the triangle is. The angles will add together to 180. And we also see a reference to the vesica appearing as well. So this is especially the importance of time, the compass or the protractor of 360 degrees. A theme that will be repeated often. And also what we repeated throughout this column, and in the previous one where we had the sun and moon measures, and what we had was very often the long scale. So one long foot is 1.056 feet, and the ionic. So especially on this, we're going to see again the repetition of how important this long scale is, and further develop this idea, especially its connections to 33 and why 33 is so important. But also on this particular column here, we can also see the ionic scale of measures pop up again. So that's an ionic capital. If you probably go to any historic building in your city, your town, and good chance you'll see the ionic appear. But also in the previous episode where I went through 108, 216, etc. But this long foot or Persian foot, and how important this is for astronomical measures. And so 36, the next number, 3 plus 6 is 9. 4 times 9 is 36. So just an example of that Harshad numbers. So to begin with, very geometric. So whether it's the vesica, again, this constant theme, whether it's a circle or a square or a rectangle, any four-sided shape will have 360 degrees defining the inside. A reference to intrigue, and so cosine 36 degrees is phi minus 1, phi over 2. Phi minus 1 equals 1 divided by phi. So this is a nice little thing in there as well. Of course, pentagram, angles, and even the icosahedron, 20 faces. Each face is one equilateral triangle. 20 times 180 is 3,600. So we see a geometry reference, and geometry, astronomy, arithmetic and music, the quadrivium will be, again, constant theme, will have already been, and we'll see more In arithmetic, 36 is just a beautiful number. So it's a triangular number, but also how important it is across dimensions. So for instance, you see there, and again, just one of these really pretty numbers and the way it works multiple dimensions. But you also, again, so just like 18, we're going to see the appearance of the long foot, again, to describe the moon. And so we have an astronomical reference. We have multiple references to time. So the Treta Yuga, in the Yugas, is a definition of time. 3,600 seconds per hour. And even in the Mayan count, 1 tun, 360 days. So we see references to time. We'll see references to weight. So, for instance, the old Grecian, Greco-Roman system of weights and how it just happens to convert to English grains. It's all very nice. 36, or harmonics from top to the middle to the end. It's the same again, but for instance, a Juella, 36. But also by the compass. So, 360-degree compass or a protractor. Well, 360 degrees, and each degree itself is broken up into 3,600 minutes. So we see time for compass, or these same numbers convert even in the divine years in the Treta Yuga. And so a 360 degree compass, there are 21,600 minutes per 360 degrees. So it's 360 times 60. Multiply it by 60 again, you get 1,296,000 seconds in 360 degrees. And a Yuga, what do we have? Again, 1,296,000 years. Nice connection there. And again, these are just, you just consistently see these in, well, measures of time, of weight, of distance, even temperature and pressure will appear more and more as we advance. So weight, time, and the compass, but also the ruler, again, the Persian foot, this long foot scale. So the next would be, so 9 times 2 is 18, times 2 is 36, the next is 72. And again, this now, just like the earlier column, 108, 216, we're getting to the very chunky, very meaningful part of it. But once again, geometry, so the pentagon, the pentagram, the vesica, the inside of a hexagon. So 120 degrees is the inside, or a hexagon, multiply that by 6, you get 720 degrees. There are 720 minutes on a 12-hour clock face. So if I was to multiply the outside of a hexagon, 240 by 6, I would get 1440. And there are 1440 minutes in 24 hours. But again, the tetrahedron, the golden number once again, cosine 72 degrees, phi over 2, geometry. And so again, we're seeing geometry. So astronomy, geometry, arithmetic, music, and well, the quadrivium. So now, nice bit of astronomy going on. So we see sun and moon measures. And so 720 league, the mean diameter of the moon. Well, 1 league is 3 miles. That's how the imperial measures we use now. But earlier, well, throughout so many series, the importance of the ionic and Doric scale of measure. Well, we see the sun and the moon coming together around the number 72 on the ionic scale, but also around the number 72 we see the sun and the moon coming together around this long foot, this Persian scale, which again, towards the end I'm going to do a repeat and a focus just on the long scale to show how important it is and how it connects to so many other important aspects. It is something of a conversion tool for these harmonic charts as well. Just measure, the truth will set you free. Now that's important as well because in precession, the cycle of a great year, the cycle of precession, typically we'll measure it on the spring equinox. You could choose some other point throughout the year, but what is important is, for instance, the spring equinox. If you watch the sun rise on the spring equinox, one of the 12 constellations of the zodiac will be behind the sun as the sun rises. So as it gets dark, there will be a constellation right on the horizon, and that will disappear as the sun rises. That's how we measure precession, and through his 25,920 year cycle. But 1 degree of precession is 72 years. So to do 1 degree of the precessional cycle, 72 years. Now that's cool because in biology, 72% of the human body is water, and at resting 72 beats per minute. That's 60 seconds per minute times 5 over 6, 72 is a nice reference there. But some biological connections as well, which is nice because 72 years is one lifetime, essentially, but it's interesting that one lifetime is uh, 72 years or 1 degree of precession by the compass. So in one lifetime, basically 1 degree of precession is almost virtually, it's a bit arbitrary, but it's the minimum distance to measure precession just happens to sort of come together with a human lifetime in these other references to 72. Um, Alan Green, I'll try to remember to put the link in the description, but he talks about, 1 foot plus 1 cubit plus 1 meter equals 6 feet, the connection between the cubit and the meter. I'll go on to say the importance of the meter in the 1 second pendulum, a measure of time, just happens to create an arc of 1 Egyptian royal cubit. So the cubit, this is the Egyptian royal cubit, E minus 1 feet. So 1 foot, E minus 1 feet is 1 cubit, and that's 1 meter. 72 inches. So again, measurements of time, these multiple ancient units of measure apparently separated and unconnected, always coming back together at especially the quadrivium, music, geometry, arithmetic, and astronomy. Also at 72, so room temperature, again, that will be a little, a fraction either way, but you'll see so often referred to as 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's 295.37 Kelvin. Just shift a decimal point, 29.53. You'll get Sun, Earth, and Moon, synodic month there, but also in the Byzantine music, equal temperament. 72, but also ancient weight scales again. So 1 sextula, 72 grains, and 720p in screen resolution. Now, these might have been a legacy from a more superstitious time to the recent pre-computer, pre-secular age. However, the modern computer age, electronic age, are in love with harmonic numbers. They use them all the time. Like you look at a screen resolution, file size, you're going to get these numbers again. Again, in the infinite sea of numbers, they could have chosen others, but they chose these because of their special properties. Now, for instance, 72 is divisible by 6. 36, 18, 12, 3, 4, 2, 8, and again, it has a lot of divisors. That's one of the reasons why these numbers, or even 60 minutes per hour, one of the reasons why these are such cool numbers to do these types of measures. But we also look in cycles of another reference to time. So the Mayan Katun, 7,200 days, and the Dwapara Yuga is broken into 72,000, 720,000, and 72,000, beginning, middle, and end period of this particular Yuga. 72 is also linked in there, and so again, connection of time between apparently separate cultures. Set had 72 accomplices or disciples that conspired with him against Osiris in Egyptian legend, and Thoth won every 72nd day for the moon. So it's in ancient Egyptian legend. You'll find it in Far Eastern legend. Earlier episode talked about 108, but even 36 heavenly spirits and 72 earthly fiends. So both earlier mentioned 36, but also 72. And you will again, in the Shaolin, 36 movements in the small Luhan, and big Luhan, 72 movements once more, even 81, 27, 54. These are all 81, 27, 54. These are all harmonics consistently across time. And now let's look into one of the biggies, and amongst this chunky part is 144.